90% of people who watch this video are already going to know whether they're going to buy Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition or not. Let's face it, the art style, the chibi art style, is instantly going to turn a lot of people off. And then we have the fact that a lot of people have already played Final Fantasy 15 on maybe their PS4, so they're not really looking at getting into a lesser experience, and this is, let's face it, a lesser experience. But this video here is for the 10% of people who haven't played Final Fantasy 15 and might be wondering, or maybe just want a little bit more information on whether they should play it or buy it. So for starters, let's talk about the chibi in the room, because obviously the art style, as I said, instantly turns a lot of people off with chibi, but chibi doesn't instantly mean bad. A lot of people like this kind of art style. Myself, I don't mind it. I like games like this. However, I don't think this is the best representation of this type of art style. I think something like Final Fantasy World did a much better job of it, and that's certainly a game that I really enjoyed, even for its art style. But this seems to have character faces just kind of drawn out. There's no real expression to them, and so I think a lot of it is actually lost to that, and especially since there's such interesting dialogue that is taken from Final Fantasy 15 and put straight into this game, that kind of gets taken away and lost on this art style. The fact that the mouse don't even open can kind of be a big detractor here, but let's face it, this is also going to be better than the other option, which could just be, they could just have text throughout the entire game. It'd be like an old text, you know, a normal old game that we used to play that didn't even have voice acting. The next question that a lot of people ask is, well, is this Final Fantasy 15 and how much is actually missing from this game? And to tell the truth, this is Final Fantasy 15. Well, at least it's most of the way there. The game has the main core storyline that you're going to be going through. A lot of the other stuff that you're doing in this game, though, is missing. So if you're thinking that you'd like to get in some side quests on the sides, you're not going to be doing that. The side quests they don't exist in this game. This game is simply going from story beat to story beat. Once you've done a certain part of the main quest in one area, you're simply going to move on to the next and continue on with the main quest. So for those of you who are interested in receiving the Final Fantasy 15 story, you're going to get that told in this obviously chibi art style, as I've mentioned about 16 times now, but you are going to get it. If the open world was part of the thing that appealed to you about the Final Fantasy 15 experience, then that's not what this game is going to be there for. It's not going to be for you in that manner. You're much better, as it's probably going to come up a lot in this talk that we're having here, you're much better playing the main game if that's the experience you want. This is a certain type of experience, and simply open world is not the experience that it is. If you think about the difference between like Final Fantasy 15 and Final Fantasy 13, I guess that's a little bit more the direction you're going here. 15 was very much, or you know, the original 15 was very much an open game. There was a big open world for you to explore. But when you get to Final Fantasy 13, that had very much more of a corridor type design. So the places you're going through was going from one to the next, and each one was kind of a bit more linear and a bit less, here, jump out into this big world and find out where you want to go and what you want to do. That doesn't mean the world doesn't exist though. You're still going to be doing stuff in this world. You're not just going from story, listening to dialogue to story. There is combat in here. And again, it's a watered down version of the combat. It's not quite as complex, but I mean, it was designed for smartphones. This entire game was originally ported down to smartphones. So now it's been ported back onto consoles. Obviously, we're not going to be getting the full experience, but there's still combat, and the combat isn't completely watered down. This still keeps you involved. You can't just let it play itself. You're going to be doing things like swiping to do your teleport to dodge things. You're still going to be tapping which enemies to attack and moving around on the map. There's items you use and lots of other things. But what you're not going to be doing is having just the deep summons and all these other systems kind of going on. It's still a little bit, as I mentioned, watered down. Speaking of that, I haven't actually got my hands on the game yet, so I don't know how the control method is going to go with buttons. Now, obviously the control method on the touchscreen is a lot of tapping and touching and swiping, but as far as buttons go, I don't know whether it's going to have a reticule on the screen or whether you're actually going to be controlling your character with the button controls, so I won't comment on whether they work or not. So that's basically the long and the short of what you're going to be getting out of this game. Now, the question for yourself is, will you still be getting into it? And I guess the answer to that is, are you just looking for a mainly story experience? Can you actually get your hands on Final Fantasy 15? And are you interested in an open world? And I mean, technically, if all you want is a story experience, then that's what this game is mainly going to serve to you. So this game might suit you. Additionally, if you're not really into getting into a big open world and you just want to, again, power through that story, then this may be the game for you. And lastly, if you can get the game on PlayStation or Xbox, the full Final Fantasy 15 experience, and what you're after isn't this type of more linear, more confined experience, then do that. There's no reason to kind of play this Pocket Edition. The idea of this Pocket Edition is for people that maybe, yeah, like I said, aren't into either of those two things, or maybe they only own a Switch and they still want to see what Final Fantasy 15 is like, because you're going to get a basic idea here. No way are you getting the full game, don't get me wrong, but you are still getting to experience the game, which, there you go. Will I be diving into this Pocket Edition? To tell the truth, probably not. I'm not that interested in playing this Pocket Edition simply because I've played the PlayStation 4 version. I put 30 hours into it, and in fact, I owe those gorgeous boys another 30 hours. But if I didn't own the PlayStation 4 version and all I had was my Switch to play a chibi-style, bite-sized kind of Final Fantasy 15 experience, that's totally what I would be doing. I would be picking this game up. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think of this. Are you going to be playing Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition? Is it something that's up your alley? Thank you for watching the video, and remember, like button, subscribe button, you do you. And for everything Nintendo, stay tuned to Nintendo Everything.